So I've managed to put a new switch on my brand new, or practically brand new, Timberpro chainsaw. And I wanted to show you guys the switch that I put on. It's much better than the old one, and it's a little... I don't really know the word that I should say, but it's a little rigged. We'll call it that. It's probably not the proper switch, but it's definitely a leaps and bounds better than the old one. So, this saw... Here, I'll shed some light on this. So that's the new switch right there that I put in. And yes, it sticks out a bit. It works. It's definitely not the best job. I have it hot glued. Just use hot glue in here to hold the switch in. And there's not enough of clearance for me to push this switch back any further. The air filter is in the way, and then I actually had to cut out some of the metal here just to fit this switch in. So this didn't really cost me anything. I'm probably going to give my brother, he had this switch, and it was like, I don't know, $5 or $10 that he paid for it. I don't really know, but I'm figuring it's around there. And you can see the old one here. This is where it was. It's weird that they would put it right next to the gas tank. You know, why would you put the switch here? There was actually a hole already here, but they had just capped it with a little black piece of rubber. So I was able to dig that out, and then of course I had to make the hole bigger to fit the switch in there. And it does work. I'll have to show you guys here in a little bit, but it's got some good snap action. It's leaps and bounds better than this old one. The linkages and everything inside all still work. The choke still works. The primer bulb obviously still works, but I'm just going to leave this alone, I guess. I may, I don't know, cap it or something. It doesn't really bother me. But this switch seems to work pretty good. It's got a little waterproof cover on it. So if this was out in the rain for whatever reason, the switch isn't going to get damaged. And the tack still works and everything, so I'm pleased with that. I had to pull off the recoil cover. There's a little shroud in here I had to pull off too. This is a 2-wire switch. The original one was, and there was a hot and a grounds. And if I remember correctly, the hot went to the coil. The coil is right in this area here. And it just goes along the top here and then comes up through and then down into this thing, into where the old switch was. So I was able to use the original wire there, the original connection here. All I did was pull some wire out from this switch that goes down through, and I just cut it off, and then I spliced on, or I crimped on a little connector just with a little eye in it. And this switch is 2 wires also, hot and ground. I said the hot went to the coil, and then the ground, there's a little Allen head bolt in here. I just used another piece of wire with the connections, those same eye connections, and I put them in here. So this is probably, it might be a cold start by now. It may start on the first pull, I don't know. Nope. So there you go. The saw is now running, and it seems to be doing pretty good. That screeching noise is, there's a plastic guard in here, and I don't know if it's hitting the flywheel, but something is definitely rubbing in there. That's another little issue I have to figure out, and I may just take that guard off. But see, there's the wire that comes through here. There's a spark plug wire, and then there's the hot wire coming from the coil. And I don't really want to take that shroud out, because if that were to get wrapped around the flywheel, there goes the spark plug wire. That could break off the spark plug in here, break the mounting hardware, change the gap. So there's a lot of little things that could go, well, not little, they're actually rather big things that could go wrong with this. So this saw, this happened this switch going. It was, I think I have around 17 or 18.2 hours, somewhere around there. And I'm definitely not very impressed with the Timberpro saw. I mean, 15 hours or 17 hours that I have on it is not, that's not that much time. But since I'm doing the majority of milling with this saw, I'll burn through, if it's a big pine log or spruce log, I'll burn through an entire tank of fuel in just one cut in about, I don't know, 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes if the chain's getting dull. So the hours that I have on this saw, it's actually probably a lot more than what a lot of other people would put on it, you know, that are not using it for milling. So even with all the problems that I've had with this saw, between the vent in the gas tank and now the switch going, I'm hoping there's nothing else that's going to be going wrong in this saw. Even with those two rather major problems, or they turned into be major problems, the saw, in my opinion, the saw is still worth it, because a Husqvarna, I think I went over this in another video, a Husqvarna saw of similar CC is about, I think it was 550, is it 550 to 600, I think, something like that. And then a steel was like 850, 900, somewhere around there, of the same CCs as this, or very, very similar, as close as I could match it. And this saw was only 168, so I have 168, 78 bucks in this saw. So 178 versus 500 to 6, or 550 to 6, and 800 maybe, 8, 9, somewhere around there for a steel. You know, it's just, this, even with all the problems I've had, the saw is still worth me putting a little bit of money into, 10 bucks here or 10 bucks there. I think that's about all I have to say for this. I did sharpen the chain while I had everything apart here. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.